All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Art with Errol podcast. This is our Monday check-in. Let's go. Okay, we're live. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Errol. I'm your host. I always try to do like a brief introduction. I am an artist, a gamer, a graphics designer, family man, 20-year veteran, served 20 years in the Navy, so I'm a veteran, a retiree, or whatever you want to call me at that point. Yeah, and today's podcast is for our Monday check-in. We're going to be talking about, creating while working full-time, how we keep the passion alive, I thought this would be a good time to kind of do this again. I think I've done this similar in the past, but we're going to redo it differently this time. I feel like, people don't really understand what you kind of go through, with everything going on in life. And it's kind of good to revisit and rethink about the things that we're doing, Excuse me, y'all, I needed a drink. Okay, so I got off work. We're starting the podcast late. I usually start around 2 p.m. It's 2:30, and a lot going on, a lot to cover. So let's just dive into it. We usually do a recap. Last week, we could do a short recap. Last week we did our podcast. We did a couple game streams, and we did an art video. The art video was Arco. It's a French film or cartoon movie that was in theaters or still in theaters. It's about a boy that I guess travels through time or something. I thought it would be interesting to do the main character, so we did the main character from that. So diving into this week's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about balancing work and game streams, doing the podcast and, managing our artwork and stuff, and, actively trying to grow our YouTube channels and our Twitch channel. So we can dive into this stuff, So I was working when I retired. I got my degree in graphics design after I retired, and then I got a job doing social media manager for the West Point Academy up in New York, and then we moved down here to Kentucky. So currently, they didn't really have anything down here. It's been down here about a year now. I haven't found anything that interests me in graphics design wise. So I just been working a little job at the gym. Just something to get out the house, right? And trying to do this YouTube stuff on the side, So I think our mic is clipping. Let me go ahead and see if I can kind of adjust that. That should be better, hopefully. So, working, y'all. Working tires you out, for one, it's not a real taxing job. I sit at the desk most of the day, checking ID cards, letting people in to the gym, and then cleaning up a little bit. So, it's a little easy job, make a little check. I got my retirement check on top of that, So, family time, as well, balancing everything out, man. So, working, coming home, like I had errands I needed to run before I could come home to even do my podcast. This is life stuff that you have to take care of, right? So I went and handled business, and now we're at home. We got like a few hours. We can do a little podcast today, and then I got to go, after school activities with the kids. And then after that, it's just like a repeating cycle there. So, how do you stay motivated, man? Time is the time that you have in a day to do stuff, is usually limited to certain segments of your life, right? You have You have your work hours, your 8-hour shift. You have, family time. You have, taking care of kids stuff. And if you have appointments and all this stuff is included in, right? So how do you stay motivated to do like your creative stuff outside of all of that? It's tough. I can tell you that. You have to really come to grips with like, hey, I have this limited amount of time each day, which for me is we've talked about this, about 2 hours, maybe 3. If I'm really stretching, I could get 3 hours, but then I'm kind of rushing to get out the house and do other things, right? So, the time is limited, so you got to make the most out of your little bit of window of time, to get the things done. This is where like the separation from a full-time creator and someone that's just, trying to make it or trying to do it, right? You're still working your job, you're still taking care of family business, or, if you're single, you have more time. You have a lot more time. But, carving out that little bit of time to do your creative stuff and then publish it, edit and publish it. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it can be hard to stay motivated, What has been motivating for me, lately, it's been seeing like we're getting some interest. Some people are starting to comment on our shorts. I'm starting to nail the shorts down. I'm going to bring the mic down just a little bit more because it looks like it's still clipping. Maybe I got this set wrong. All right. Hopefully the audio sounded good, y'all. So it's a challenge, and staying motivated. One thing that I was saying is staying motivated was seeing now we're getting a few reactions here and there. That's good. Like comments. I'll see likes up. 3 or 4 likes here and there on some of the shorts that we've been doing. Now that we're doing like a video and a short, I think it's starting to come together. I think the exposure is getting more, like we're getting, just a little bit more exposure there. People are starting to comment, react, things are looking up, so that helps with the motivation right there. Like, I'm, seeing progress, anytime you see progress, that makes you feel good, like you're working hard on something and you see a little bit of progress, even though if it's small and minute, it's still there and it's still a little bit of something like positive coming out of what you're doing. You feel good and motivated to want to do more, if you're kind of stagnated and you're just not seeing it, then, that could be a sign that you need to switch things up, relook at your content and then maybe switch it up, and that's what I did recently. I changed the shorts up a lot. If you go back and look at how I was doing them earlier in the year, vice what we're doing now, it's starting to come together. I just got to nail down how I want to write my scripts and how I want to present them, because presentation is something that holds people's attention. So you want to be able to speak clearly, and I'm talking about myself right now in this because I tend to have like a lot of problems with keeping my speech clear and talking a certain way, because that southern boy will come out of me, and then it's like you can't understand what I'm saying. So, being able to enunciate better. My throat's a little dry today, y'all. Yeah. The time blocks in our life, you got to make the most out of each time block, y'all. That's how I feel. Like, you're at work, you're doing as much as you can there, and then, when you get off, you hit the ground running. You know, you're like, all right, I'm in my creative mode. Switch the brain over, get a moment of clarity, and then say, hey, let's dive in and do it. You know, because it's definitely hard to stay motivated, and you know, having glimpses of good progress always helps. You know, that's a real good motivator. So you know, learning to improve, you know, is always something that, you know, you have to look at. I've, you know, recently, like I said, revisited how I'm doing a lot of stuff now. So being able to make a single video that I can chop a short out of, you know, is crucial to me becoming more successful, I think. And just perfecting that. And like I said, the delivery and all that needs to come together. You know, writing a script of what I want to talk about for the gaming news, because we do the bit of gaming news. In case you don't know, do a bit of gaming news on the gaming channel or on here on Twitch as well. And I just usually take a segment of news and I'll just like write something, some kind of little script, and just talk about it just with a posing question to kind of get and promote engagement. And ask people what they think and see, you know, and just spark conversation, you know, using social media for social stuff. Excuse me, y'all. Yeah, so, how do we remove how do we remove our fatigue, yo? You know, it's just taking breaks, I think, with fatigue, you know, because that can come, you know, along with anything you do in life. You can get fatigued, you know. And I think that plays a part into, you know, your motivation as well. Like, you can lose motivation if you get fatigued. So taking breaks and knowing when to continue on is always a way that we can improve our motivation in what we're doing. Thumbnails, like, I got to get better at making more thumbnails. That's one thing that I have not figured out, how I'm going to squeeze out or do more thumbnails, you know, because I'm doing different topics. I need to take some more pictures of myself in like different poses or something, and be able to do some quick thumbnails for each of these bit of gaming news segments, I think. So I need to look at that, you know, because I just been letting kind of on YouTube, just letting YouTube do the auto generate. And I know they say that that's not the greatest. You know, you want to have like a high res thumbnail image that you can upload. So I need to look at my thumbnail process and figure that out. That's one area I'm kind of lacking in right now, but I think what's more important is just continually working on the content, you know, for me right now. I have a template or a formula, you know, that I'm using right now, which I think is making sense, and it's, you know, helping me make progress. Good enough? Is it good enough? You know, it's good enough for right now, I think. You know, I always say don't chase perfection, because, you know, nothing's ever going to be perfect. But, you know, you just try to do the best you can and then try to make progress as you go. So, thinking about, what are we thinking about now? So, what people get wrong. Let's talk about some stuff like a reality check, you know, for myself as well. You know, what things I kind of get wrong, you know. Just sometimes when I'm really tired, I struggle to like put out the videos, which I'm going to start doing them in the evening time instead of doing them in the morning when I wake up. So I'm going to try to squeeze it out before bedtime, you know. You know, there's no good way for me to do that when I'm making these little videos and stuff, because I feel like I either gotta do it early in the morning or late in the evening. So that's a reality check for me. It's just being able to keep myself upbeat and doing the content. What's starting to work, because I got a lot of things on my plate that I want to do. Best way I could describe it is like I want to work out more, so I'm trying to push my content making to the evening for that video segment that I do, the bit of gaming news, and that way I can work out in the morning and squeeze that in. So yeah, last week, let's talk about last week. Some stuff that like we kind of got wrong or whatever. I think that last week, I did have some good game streams. So like, it was just a day or two that I kept having like a couple minor issues, but I think I worked that stuff out. It was mostly like technical stuff, which I tend to have like the most. I've said this before. I have the most technical issues. Either with OBS or like, something just not functioning the way it should. And I always have the trouble figuring it out. Or it takes me a while to figure out what went wrong to fix it. So, and maybe that's just because I use a single PC streaming setup. Could be that, I don't know. But I mean, my PC should be able to like handle all the stuff I want to do. Circling back to motivation, consistency, that's something that I think I really achieved this year, because we're coming to the end of the year, and I really think I've been more consistent than I ever been when I started doing content creation. I've been way more consistent, and that's a wonderful thing. I mean, because for me, like, I was so off and on with like streaming or like doing an art video or whatever, because I wouldn't start podcast till this year. So the podcast thing is new, and this is a good break, or a mental break from like, game streaming, I think. Because I like game streaming, but, I think, these open talks kind of like, encourage more participation. I think we'll get more participation at some point, So my consistency has been good with the Monday podcast that we added. The Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday game streaming, I've been pretty consistent. I mean, it's been a day or two where I had to cancel here and there just because of appointments or something popping up, family-wise. The Friday art content has been like, pretty consistent. I think for this whole year, we've pretty much nailed almost every Friday. That sketchbook I've been working in is almost full. So I know we've done a great job of being consistent with our art video, with our at least 2 game streams a week, and 1 podcast. Some weeks we've been hitting 3 game streams, which has been great. I would like to get more. I just don't have, sometimes you just don't have the time, or you have appointments that pop up, or something happens that, you can't make your game stream happen. So, that just, it is what it is. Saturday and Sunday, we've been doing our better gaming news, which I've been doing pretty much consistently every day. Where I'll just look at different news things online, and then I'll just do like a little video segment, which I actually like that. I think that's a good way to hopefully hopefully it's I'm like I said, I'm seeing engagement, so I think it's promoting engagement with the channels. I'm just learning still to improve those. I want to get the short like really nailed down. I want to get the video a little more free. So I have the same topic, just a little bit more freely talking about it. So I'm going to try to get better at doing those portions as well. I still need to work on retention for our videos. That's always I think a challenge, right? To keep people's attention is and especially nowadays when a lot of folks do the doom scrolling, the doom scrolling. Like if you don't catch them in the first few, it's hard to hold their attention. A lot of times people just looking for those little funny quick shorts, and that's all they want to see, and they'll scroll right past you. The doom scrolling is a real thing, man. You can get caught up. I got caught up in it a few times. I always, when I catch myself, I always say, hey, I need to stop this. Because you go from one funny video to the next and you just keep scrolling. You keep doing it. Everybody, I think, doom scrolls, right? That's like a thing. And you can easily get caught in that little spin cycle there. So tips I like to share. If you're working a full-time job, I look at it like this. You got to carve out whatever time you have, and then just make the best of it. If you only got an hour to create after you get off of work, then use that hour to the maximum. Try to be your best in that moment. That's all that's the only thing I can say. I always try to give my best. Sometimes I fall short. I know that. I fall short a lot. You know what I mean? So, try to limit your fatigue. If you start getting fatigued, then just know you need to take a break. It's nothing wrong with taking breaks. I've taken breaks, and it's just, you recover, you come back to it. That helps you stay motivated. When it comes to your ideas and stuff, I always say use ChatGPT. If you need help with an idea, tell it what you're thinking about and say, hey, I need help with this idea or whatever, and it'll help you, come up with ideas of your content, whatever you're making, whatever you're doing. I think it's a great tool to help you find something, and you can go look up gaming news and whatever it is you're doing. Like I'm doing a little bit of gaming news. I'll look it up and then I'll tell ChatGPT what I think about this, and then they'll help me, script something up, and I can tailor it, how I want it. That works well for me. I think it's great, and that's why I have two segments. I have a scripted segment, and then I have the short is scripted. The video I'm trying to make unscripted, more free, or what I would say is what was I calling it? I don't forgot now. I kind of got a brain fart right now on it. Just more of myself, right? Just free and just kind of loose with it, whatever. So, templates, I recommend using templates. I have, so my OBS setup, I like to have a couple. So I have one set up for gaming. I built one setup for the podcast, and then I built another setup for the art. So I have a couple different little scene setups. Cause I'm not like the ones that like to show the inside their house. I don't show the inside my house, mainly because if I ever doing content and my kids are home, we don't want our kids online, so we just have the green screen set up. That's just why. So I like to do the little virtual setups. To me, that works for me. For whatever you do, if you cool with showing the inside of your bedroom, your house, or whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's how you choose to do your content creation. Me, I live in the virtual world, so I have the green screen set up. That's just how I like to roll. Keep people out of my house. Yeah. Yeah, what else? I kind of lost train of thought there. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, and don't chase perfection. I always say that. Don't try to. I mean, you want to make a good video, right? You want to make good content. You want to make good live streams, but things are gonna go wrong. I always have things go wrong. Like the mic was clipping. I don't know why it's still like it's in the red, but it's at the lower end now. So I got the pop filter on, right? The mic. I don't know how it got turned up. I thought I had this thing set right. Test. Okay. That might be set a little bit better. But like I always have technical issues, things go wrong. I mean, so you just can't let it affect you to the point where because it's not perfect. That's what I say by don't chase perfection, because it's never going to be 100% perfect, man. You just gotta sometimes go with it, So yeah, let's get into protecting our passion, So burnout. Let's talk about that. It isn't about overstretching yourself. You don't want to overstretch yourself. I feel like that. I contend to keep pushing myself. I'll overstretch myself. Doing too much. You're doing too much. Tell yourself you're doing too much. You gotta know when to kind of dial things back. I think that's something that you gotta kind of judge for yourself. And a lot of this talk that I do for this podcast is really reflection for me. I want it to help other people, but it's really more reflection for me. For me, art making, to me, that's really stress relieving. That's why I really enjoy making, art videos. And like I said before, I really want to get a much better camera, and that's what I'm getting for Christmas, is a really high resolution video production style camera, a black magic camera. I wanted something to be able to record better, man. So once I figure that setup out, I think it's gonna be great. The goal is to get the camera for Christmas, and we're gonna be, hopefully making really high quality art videos is what I want to do. So and next year I really want to push the envelope of doing the art videos a little, maybe over a couple of days instead of just an hour drawing that I'm doing, just an hour sketch. A lot of those sketches are just an hour, man. I just kind of sketching real quick and then just coloring with some pencil color. It's just something to get people motivated to want to draw or sketch. That's why I call them sketches, because they are sketches. They're not really full drawings, even though I tend to make them look like they're full drawings. So yeah, we don't want to get burnt out. Doing the thing that you love, is the best way to kind of relieve a lot of stress and keep yourself from getting burnt out. Streaming with your community. I mean, I think if you have a good community that comes and participates and not are non-toxic, a lot of people have some people have toxic communities. You can do pretty good that way. And I think you gotta tell yourself why it's okay to take a day off. But not a month. Don't take a month off. It's okay to take a couple of days here and there. Don't take a month off. A month off can really kill your viewership, especially if you're like me, you barely have any viewership. Your viewership is already low. People will be like, "Oh, he just quit." That's what you'll get, and then it's hard to get those people back, man. So taking a day off is okay and everything. A few days off here and there, but always inform your community. Community post on your channels is important. I always say this, if you have to take a day off, you make a tweet, you make some kind of post. I can't stream today, or I can't do whatever. It's just very important that you make an announcement, man. Especially when you have very, low viewership, or like me, you don't have a large community. You have to keep your small community informed. Because if I think for a streamer that has a large community, if they don't stream for one day and they just go dead silent, they're not going to lose as many people, it's not going to be as hurtful for them, So, let's talk about what's going on this week. We got our podcast here. We're kind of discussing, the stuff that it takes, really, while you're working full time, man. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. It's not easy. It'd be easy if I didn't have to work the job. If I was earning money on ad revenue and stuff like everybody else that are established, it would be a lot easier. But it's a lot harder when your window of time is only yay big. You got this one carved out block of time that you can use. And you got to use that time to the maximum. It's a challenge. I enjoy a good challenge, but it is a challenge. It is a challenge, y'all. So I think this applies to most folks that are, like myself. You're working, you want to content create, but you only got that limited time, man. You gotta find ways to stay motivated. You gotta find ways to encourage yourself. You gotta look at the positive. You gotta take the negative in and say, okay, I need to be improved here, here, and here, and be willing to work on those things. Be willing to work on those things, y'all. And I think that's why I'm starting to see a little bit more progress on our gaming channel, because, I've been working on it. I've been trying to make small changes where, I can, and try to fix things and make things smoother and better, It's because of that, I think that, now I'm seeing a little more viewership, and I'm seeing a few interactions here and there, which is wonderful, Sometimes I get some weird interactions. I'm not gonna lie. Some guy, I think he was just being, I don't know, but they're YouTube folks. So some YouTube folks, they're just, off the chain, I guess you would say sometimes, But it is great, man. So look, I'm already up, like on our today's short, we talked about the PlayStation might be pulling back from PC, right? We got up to almost 6 comments. I think some of them are my comments. I was replying to folks. So maybe it's a couple, maybe it's 3 or something like that. Who knows? But the fact of the matter that like folks are starting to engage with the content, that's the start of community building, and that's what I feel like is great. If we can build a community, it's going to be great. I scatterbrained it, but we're going to talk about this week. Today they announced the Game Award stuff, And I was thinking maybe we could do a stream where we go and vote on like what we think the game of the year and all the other. We just do like our own voting. I gotta figure out how to do it. I know you gotta go to the Game Awards website or something. Because I don't think I've ever really voted, so I just really didn't. So I think that might be actually a fun little stream to do. So maybe I can squeeze that in, or we do it at the end of a gaming session tomorrow. I was thinking we'll play some Arc Raiders tomorrow, and maybe at the end of the session we go in and vote, or at the beginning we can just do some voting on the Game Awards site. I don't know. So if you tune in to the game stream tomorrow, either here on Twitch or YouTube or with Errol Gaming, we will we'll look at the website and figure out how to vote, and maybe vote for Game of the Year and stuff like that. So there was a lot of different categories, so we have to look at each one and go through and vote for the nominees. I think that would be a fun little stream. But game plan is to get in our game streams this week. Hopefully 3. I'm just going to kind of look at the calendar to make sure. I should be able, I should be able to get in 3 this week, I think. Because I'm looking at the calendar. I don't think we have any appointments coming up that's going to hinder me from getting our game streams in. So I think we can get Tuesday through Thursday game streams in. And during one of those game streams, I would like to do maybe some voting for the Game Awards. And then I was thinking maybe, well, for Friday video, art video, I don't have a clue on what I want to draw. I always try to like find something current that's going on. That's why I picked the movie Arco, ARCO. I picked that character because it was a movie at the theater. So, I didn't see any other like cartoon stuff that we could draw. I didn't see any other movies that anything that I might want to draw. I don't know if is there something new coming out? That's the question. Is there something new at the movies that's coming out that we can do a sketch of for Friday? Let me go to the movies. I'm gonna just look it up real quick. Okay. Oops. Let me see if I can find what's at the theaters right now. Which that cartoon movie actually looks interesting. Arco, I wanted to take the kids to see it because it looks like it's a kid's cartoon. So, there's Predator Badlands. Should I draw something Predator? Predator Badlands is out, right? That just came out. That's new, right? So Predator, that will be we can draw something. Maybe we look at Predator, y'all. That could be the sketch for Friday if y'all interested in that. I know I don't have a lot of folks tuning into the podcast right now, but if you want me to draw the Predator from Badlands, Predator Badlands, drop me a comment, man, a line or something. I think that's what I want to do. That will be a fun little sketch. We could just do a black and white sketch of the Predator from Badlands. Predator Badlands, I should be able to find a nice little image of them online, and we could do the sketch in our sketchbook. And that could be the art video, y'all. That'll be a lot of fun, I think. I think I'll enjoy that, y'all. So that's the game plan, y'all. Game plan set. We're looking at getting some game streams in. I'm thinking we're playing Arc Raiders tomorrow and Tuesday. I'm sorry, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then let's do either the new Call of Duty that just dropped, or we can do Battlefield 6. I haven't played the new Call of Duty, so maybe we try the new Call of Duty on Thursday. We just play some multiplayer and just get in there and grind out some weapons or something. I don't know. That might be a lot of fun. A lot of fun there. Just get some shooter action in. I like to play my shooters. So, at least once this week. And Arc Raiders, I think we need to get into Arc Raiders and try to do some quests. Be a quester. I like that. Last time we played Arc Raiders, a lot of the solo players were very friendly. I mean, they was letting you do your mission. They didn't try to take you out and take your stuff. So to me, it was enjoyable. I was like, all right, because I was more concentrated on trying to complete objectives. Than being worried about folks taking me out. I mean, I still was worried about it because, some people are kind of iffy, But for the most part, it was quite friendly. The last time I played. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I could dig that. I'm getting stuff done. I got Scrappy leveled up. I got a few things done. I was like, oh man, this is great. So I feel like it was a lot of fun. I really like the Arc Raiders. They did a great job on that game. For $40 too, you can't beat that. That's a solid game for $40. I mean, all around, it's a solid game for $40. That is pretty good. So yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at, y'all. It's challenging, and I want people to understand that, yeah, I'm making these videos and I'm streaming and stuff, but a lot of times, man, I'm coming off an 8-hour shift. So I am tired, even though I be trying to keep an upbeat personality. I'm trying to not being like no Debbie Downer on the stream and nothing like that, or live, but it's challenging, y'all. To be a content creator is not easy. People say, oh, it's the easiest job. That's the people that are established and have made it. You made it. Okay, it's easy for you now because guess what? You got somebody cutting and editing and probably, making your thumbnails for you, unless you still doing everything, which I'm pretty sure most people pay someone to edit it. So it's probably a lot easier if you have the help. When you don't have help is when it's really challenging and you're working, an 8-hour shift at work, you come home and like, I want to content create, it's like, it is challenging, and that's the way life is right now. I don't have time to do no 8-hour stream, I don't have time to do no 12, 24-hour streams like some of these cats do. I don't have time to do that. I got a family, I got kids, I got stuff to do. I get a limited time to play some games or draw something or do whatever. So life is happening, man. So yeah, for the folks that are like me, and you tuning in and you want to know what kind of struggle, this is a great way. I'm venting on this podcast so that you can understand what I'm going through and what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to build a community, which in a limited amount of time, it's hard to get folks to even engage, So, man, we went 44 minutes. This is our longest podcast in a while, y'all. I know I'm more ranting at the end of this. This is probably the best part. I think me off script is probably a little bit more entertaining. I like to have stuff written out to kind of keep my brain from going too many different places, So maybe I need to just do bullet points instead of having like a little bit. I have maybe too much wordy stuff. We're gonna try that for the next podcast. I'm gonna just write out bullet points of what I want to kind of touch on, and just something to keep me, in line and not going too scatterbrained. I think that's our goal for next podcast, and that might increase engagement. If I'm a little more free and have a little bit of outline. I think I have too much outline. I think I've been writing too much outline. I need to just have it a little bit more tailored to bullet points. I think, I think I'll do better that way. I can be a little bit more like if I just got something to keep me, you know what I mean. Like I'm trying to at least have something to kind of keep me from like going too off the rails, because then I'd just be all over the place. Yeah. So we went 46 minutes today, y'all. I'm happy about this. I mean, I feel like in my mind, I talked about things or said things out loud that are going to help me think how I'm doing stuff. Because sometimes I think I need, for me to like figure some stuff out, I need to say it, see it, say it, kind of deal. I need like all the sensories or something. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just weird like that. But this is more of a session to help me and hopefully help you. Because I can't be the only one that's working and trying to content create. I know there's other folks out there. I know you're out there. Whether or not you want to chat about it, that's up to you. The chat is open. It's wide open. It's wide open. Dive in. Anyway, y'all, I appreciate all my listeners. Whether you listening to this on Spotify, you with me live on Twitch and YouTube, or you you catching it on Apple Podcasts or Amazon. I mean, I set it up to be everywhere. So wherever you listening, just know there is a live version. We are live on Twitch, Art with Errol, on YouTube. This one's the Art with Errol podcast. If you're just a YouTube watcher, we got 3 channels on YouTube. It's the Art with Errol channel for artwork. It's the Art with Errol podcast and the Art with Errol gaming. On Twitch, it's just Art with Errol. So we're getting everything in one place on Twitch. Spotify is just the podcast. Apple and Amazon, it's just the podcast. You're just getting the audios on those 2 though. So we're everywhere, yo. I'm trying to be everywhere, so you can find me. All right, y'all. Till next time. You know what to do. I'm out of here.